Okay, at this time, I will call finance to order. Because community development does not have a quorum this evening, the item on the joint agenda will move to strictly finance. I would ask that all members of community development who are here, please participate in the discussion. So, but because there's not a quorum, it's been advised that you do not vote. Okay? So the first and only item on the joint meeting agenda will be item number 1, the matter of enterprise zone and community reinvestment area recommendations from the Tax and Incentive Review Council, TIRC, which met on February 13th, 2025. Director Scott.
Through you, the Ohio Revised Code requires all enterprise zone and community reinvestment area agreements to be reviewed on an annual basis through the Tax Incentive Review Council, who then makes recommendation to City Council. On February 13th, the Tax Incentive Review Council met, and they reviewed all of our current enterprise zone and CRA agreements. All of the companies were in compliance with their agreements. They all paid their fees. So the recommendation of the Turk was to go ahead and continue all abatements as they currently are for the following year.
Okay. Are there questions from either committee? Mrs. Sawerka?
Thank you. Through the chair. I see that just the one for the Chronicle, it's expired and they don't wish to continue or renew or do something different?
Through you, so their maximum term, they have met that, so they would not be able to extend it.
Okay, thank you.
Are you requesting an emergency clause in this?
Through you, yes, please.
Okay. Are there any addition? Yes, Mrs.
Through you,
Davis.
the chair. So I see number 8, the Foster Senior Loft. Is that part of the program that's going to be starting there at Foster, the 2 complexes that's going to be new there?
Through you, yes.
So do we have a start date for them?
Through you, they did report that they were planning on closing end of 2024, beginning of 2025, with construction beginning sometime in 2025, or demolition.
Any additional questions? If not, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of enterprise zone and community reinvestment area recommendations from the Tax and Incentive Review Council, TIRC, which met on February 13th and approved. An ordinance authorizing the approval of the attached list of companies and units which were approved by the city's Tax Incentive Review Council. Deadline for reporting to the state is March 30th, and this has been requested as an emergency. Can I get a motion from Finance to approve?
So moved.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Seeing that finance has been called to order, first item on the agenda is the matter of approval of the January 13th, 2025 finance meeting minutes as circulated. Can I get a motion
So
to
moved.
approve?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, number 2, the matter of a demolition lien to be certified to the Lorain County Auditor Building Official Farkas.
Mr. Chair, through you, I'm requesting a lien be applied to 994 Gulf Road for an emergency demolition in the amount of $11,750. That's for the complete removal.
Are there any questions for Mr. Farkas? Mrs. Sawerka?
Thank you. Through the chair, where is 994 Gulf Road? That's just a house, Daryl? Is it between Hilliard and after Hilliard? Oh, on the ravine side? Oh, okay. Thank you.
If I remember correctly, this was brought up a few years ago, I believe, to the fire department for hoarding. Is that correct?
Mr. Chair, through you, that particular home had multiple legacy complaints.
Okay.
Part of it was years ago, the back foundation wall was leaning and sloping to the rear of the property. The home was ultimately abandoned. We received a complaint, and it was pretty bad, so we took it down.
Awesome. Any additional questions? If not, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of placing liens on the attached list of properties for boarding up, securing, and/or demolition charges on these properties. A resolution authorizing the said charges to be certified as liens to the Lorain County Auditor's Office as per attached. Excuse me, did you need this as an emergency? Can I, no. This is not an emergency. Can I get a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor, please use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is number 3, the matter of city property, building department vehicle that is unfit for use and to be taken out of service and to be disposed of by the best means possible. Safety Service Director Panowski.
Thank you, through you. This is a 2013 Escape that was assigned to the building department. It has 45,000, almost 46,000 miles on it, but it's rusted out, the frame. We have some issues there. So it's not a lot of mileage, but it is 13 years old, and it has some condition issues that we feel as though it's no longer safe and can be used. So we're looking to put it on Gov Deals and see if we can get some value back on it.
Okay. Are there any questions from the committee? If not, I will read the, do we need this as an emergency, do you know? Yes? No. Okay, I'm sorry. I'll read the committee report. We have considered the matter of finding the city has a building department vehicle that is unfit for municipal use and to be disposed of by the best means possible. A resolution declaring the said vehicle unfit for municipal use, and an ordinance authorizing the said vehicle to be disposed of by the best means possible in accordance with the law per the attached list. Can I get a motion, please?
So moved.
Second?
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Question's been called. All in favor, please use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Next item on the agenda, number 4, the matter of city property sanitation department trucks that are unfit for use and to be taken out of service and to be disposed of by the best means possible. Safety Service Director?
Thank you. This is for 3 sanitation trucks, 2 side loaders, 1 rear loader. The rear loader is currently not running and needs some repairs that we don't think are justifiable given the cost. The other 2, the side loaders, have actually been part of our what we'll call sanitation truck graveyard for a while, and we've pulled all the parts off of them that we can utilize. So it's now moving on from them, and they no longer have utility to us. So trying to recover what we can, whether it's scrap value or whatever it might be, and get them off the lot. But they're both 2011s, and we've gotten everything out of them that we can. So that's the intention here.
Okay. Any questions from the committee? Seeing none, I will read the committee report. We have considered the matter of finding the city has out-of-service sanitation trucks that are unfit for municipal use and to be disposed of by the best means possible. A resolution declaring the city has said trucks that are unfit for municipal use and an ordinance authorizing the said trucks to be disposed of by the best means possible in accordance with the law per the attached list. Can I get a motion, please?
Second.
Motion's been made and properly seconded. Mrs. Sawerka?
Through you, I just have a question. These are 13, 14 years old, but the mileage is so low. Are those mileages correct? It seems awfully low for a 14-year-old truck. And
Through you, Mr. Chair. Yes, one of them does seem rather low. I don't know the history of why that one in particular is so low. I have one at 43,000, one at 87,000, and I have one at 31,000. So the 31,000 being the outlier, I don't know what the history is there. It is also the newest of the three. So it sounds like maybe it just wasn't the most reliable. I'm not sure of the exact history, but you're right. The mileage on that was disappointing.
just so we, through the chair, just so we make sure that the mileage is correct when we go to whatever you're going to transfer.
Yes, we'll verify that, but that is the
Yeah.
report I got when they asked for the permission to do the referral to. It is disappointing that we didn't get more use out of that one, but given the repairs that are probably necessary and the age on it, it still seems like it's time to move on from it, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, question has been called. All in favor, please use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Number 5, next item on the agenda, the matter of the 2025 Permanent Appropriations 2025 budget. Director Farrell, or Director Pileski, I'm sorry.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So what we have up on the screen is our document that shows all of the funds that are involved in the appropriation process. And in the first column is beginning cash. Second is estimated revenue for the year. Third is the two added together, first two added together, the amount available to appropriate. And the first yellow column represents what the departments requested. And the first orange column is what we have done to the request. Not much in the general fund, but we've been able to take a little bit out of it. But the good news about the general fund is that we're carrying the most cash we've ever carried over before. The bad news is that because payroll has grown so much in the general fund, I'm anticipating that our beginning cash is going to go down by almost 2/3. So if you look at the estimated revenue column, you see estimated revenue at $36,072,368. That's a little bit higher than actual for last year. And the finance administration, where we're at with the budget, is $45,955,857. So that's a difference of $9.8 million. So if we spend $9.8 million more than what we're bringing in, it's coming from that first column. Our cash is going to drop to about $5 to $6 million to start next year with, and that won't be enough to get through next year. So next year, if you recall, we have an extra payday, so that's going to add approximately $1.3 million onto next year's budget. So if you start next year If you start with this year's budget, add 1.3, you're at 40, almost 47 million, and we're bringing in 35 million. So we're not in a good position with the general fund. If you recall, when Bendix closed in 2023, we moved a number of police and fire from the general fund into the ARPA fund to help build up the general fund, which we did. And we also hired the ARPA money that we received through the state. We were required to hire 10 new policemen. And we also, I believe, we hired 11 new firefighters. So all of those that were in the ARPA fund totaling about 49 people, 47 people, are now in the general fund, which adds 5 million to the budget. And then you factor in the raises that were awarded to police and fire and AFSCME, and that gets us to the difference where we are now. So it's not a good position to be in.
So this is the first presentation of this. We are not going to vote on this tonight by any means. We have until the end of the month, correct? The end of March.
Correct.
Actually.
Yeah.
To solidify our budget. I spoke with the mayor today and the safety service director, Panowski, and my request for them is to reach out to all department heads for their ideas on things that we can do to adjust the coming year budget. I'm knocking on wood. Like Mr. Pileski said, we have the largest carryover that the city has ever had. That's a very good thing. So it's our responsibility to spend that in the wisest way we can, not just for this year, but in coming years. So the mayor is out of the office this week because of his surgery, but I did speak to him and the safety service director. I would also ask members of this committee to potentially come up with some ways to discuss at the next meeting regarding the budget. There are several things that I have thrown to the finance director, Pileski, and I will continue to dig through this. I know it's an eye chart a little bit looking at all these pages, but Mrs. Sawerka.
Thank you, through the chair. I'm happy to share this as well. I had asked Mr. Farrell for the last 5 years of FTEs because I thought that that was a good way to take a look at our hiring over the last 5 years. And surprisingly, other than police and fire, most of the other departments are pretty much where they have been. So that is a good thing because I think then the citizens can see that we're not putting additional people in other than police and fire. But I looked at the averages, for example, the building department, I'm going to pick on Daryl because he's here. In 2020, they had 11 people. Then they went to 8, 13, 10, 12, now they're at 9. So most of these others, like the cemetery department, they've been either 3, 4, or 5 people for the last 5 years. I do have one question, if I could continue.
Please.
The Special Parks and Rec, John, it looks like there's 9 people in it. There's been as many as 16 in that, but maybe there's not enough money to carry 16 anymore? No, they put.
Through you, Chair. That's correct. That's a fund that was, over the years, has been depleted. And so typically, it may, being this is the off-season, other than the ice rink, I think they have most of those people. The ice rink does have a department in a general fund, so that's where you'd find those expenses, but,
Okay.
yeah, they've put some of their managers in that in the past, but I think they're trying to build that fund up a little.
And I'll just offer, through the chair, I'll just offer one other observation that I did as a comparison here for Muni Court. Municipal Court, the clerk's office had, for the last 5 years, 19 people, 19 people, 17 people, 18 people, 18 people, and now they have 21. The judges, 15, 15, 15, 16, 15, now they're at 17. The other judge, 13, 14, 12, 13, 13, 13. So there's been just a few over there at Muni Court. Other than that, there's really not big numbers here. Engineering hovers around a dozen people. So I just thought that that was an interesting statistic that demonstrates that we're not over hiring, other than in police. I wouldn't say we're over hiring in police and fire. I'm just saying we're not over hiring other departments, and I think that's important for all of us to keep in mind. Thank you.
Mr. Pileski.
Just to share a few more numbers with you, so the total appropriation of the general fund of $45,955,000, of that amount, $33,920,300 is appropriated for salary, wages, and benefits, including hospitalization and pension. So that equates to 73.81% of the general fund appropriation goes to wages and benefits. Of the amount that goes to wages and benefits, of the $33,920,300, about $21.6 million belongs to police and fire, which is 67.67% of the amount, 67.67% of the amount appropriated for wages and benefits is police and fire.
67 of the total budget, Ted, or
No, of the
of the labor?
yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Just to put, this in a little more perspective, so a 10 million difference between revenues and expenditures, if we were to fix this with new revenues and new jobs, it would take 5,000 new jobs in the city at an average salary of 88,000. So it's
Sorry, through the chair, 88,000 you said?
yeah, 5,000
1,000 jobs,
about-
that
about
average,
payroll of about 444 million. So we're not going to fix this problem with, new jobs. I mean, some would help, obviously, but
So this is going to be, need to be a joint effort by all the departments and administration. Mrs. Sawerka.
thank you, through the chair. What's the capital percentage of this budget? Do you have that? I mean, is that something we can take a look at? and-
the capital projects,
Capital equipment.
yeah. While John's getting that up, I guess the other fund that I'm concerned about is the Employees' Health Insurance Fund. So that's down on the bottom of the page. So we're pretty much appropriating everything we've got. The Health Insurance Committee has not, I don't believe they've decided on any funding changes as of now. The city funds that internal service fund, 85%, employees cover 15%. But if we put more into the health insurance fund, which we need to do, it's going to change everybody else's budget, because any fund that has payroll contributes to the health insurance fund.
So what you're saying is if it would go to 80-20, it would reduce their budget by that amount?
Yes, but it would reduce the city's budget a little bit, but I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about whether they just raise the contribution, period, like how much a family plan is, how much a single plan is. So if they do that, then we're going to have to revisit the general fund and all the other funds.
Understood. Yeah. Understood.
One other thing to add about the general fund, there is 2.6 million appropriated for the firing range, and there's also 2.6 million in estimated revenue, because that's supposedly being covered by the FBI grant. I've already talked to the administration. If we get any indication that that money's not coming in, we can't do the project, so.
Correct. Correct. Mr. Farrell, do you want to cover the capital projects?
So the capital need, I'm sorry, through you, Chair.
There we go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
The capital needs department in the 2016 half%, it's actually a little lower this year than what it's been in the past. There's 2,134,769, and out of that new money, it's 1,315,000. So the balance of it was carried over from encumbrances from 2024. As far as streets, let's see.
Could we stay there
Yeah,
just
John?
1 second?
John, through the chair, the 2.1 million for capital, I think you had a sheet that showed what that was. Could we take a quick peek at that? I don't know that we had that in the packet that you passed out. I don't remember seeing it. That list.
So,
Have these items been purchased through the chair?
through the chair, some have, some have not. Joe Strozak and I have been working together on the items that, as we progress through the list, but
Could you scroll down on that, John, please?
down or up?
Thank you.
Yeah, I can, through the chair, I'll get an update for the next meeting as to which one
Could you
items are.
email all of
left.
council?
Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, if you could email all of council this, some obviously didn't get it. I did have it in my packet. I apologize.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, we would take action on this no later than the 17th is our last full council meeting in March, so that unless we would hold a special meeting, which I think by then we should all have our ducks in a row and questions answered about the upcoming. Yes, and we will be down 2 council people at that meeting on the 17th, so, on the 17th.
Oh, never mind then. Okay. Okay. Oh, okay, then I stand corrected. Okay, so then we would just be down 1 that we know of,
Okay,
3 of.
please continue.
Okay, through you, Chair, a couple other departments in the 2016 half% that are usually of interest, the street repair. And so this year there is $2.8 million appropriated in that department. Some of that, I think about a third of that is also carried over from 2024. And then got here.
I think I looked at that today, there's a little over 600,000.
600.
Encumbrances that were carried over, so that would leave 2.2 million. I can take a look at the muni motor vehicle and see if there's anything there. I'll take a look at that tomorrow, but I do know that we've got some state projects where we got to kick in 11%, and they kick in 89, so we've been leveraging grant monies with the muni motor vehicle for more streets, and we're paying the 4 SIB loans out of muni motor vehicle for the bigger projects that we've done, so. I'll try, but
You want to go through?
One more item, Chair, that I'd like to bring up is the Basic Services Department and the 2016 0.5%. These are all items, street lighting, and that would typically be paid with the general fund. So for 2025, there's $1.7 million appropriated in that department as well.
That's one that I had a question about. Is there any flexibility in that street lighting?
The one in front of my house has been out for quite a while. So I don't know.
You think? How about the other 99.99%? All right,
Not sure how we get rid of them.
okay. Are you going to go one more down? Yes, please. Fiber optic. In a long time, okay. All right, at this point then, I'm going to ask, are there any additional questions?
we can look at the projects for engineering.
Close that bar on the left, John. You close that bar on the left, the X.
Okay, here's my question about this. In item 1, I want to phrase this correctly. Would it benefit the city at all, or are we allowed to slow this project down at all? Or are we on a mandated schedule?
I think I'll refer that one to John Schneider. John,
Talking about the 16 million?
Yes,
are you speaking of the Windward siphon?
the total 16.
Oh, okay. Yeah, the Windward siphon is 4.5 million of the 16. 1D and 2N is just finishing up, so that's just remaining bills to pay on that one.
And I think this entire section is multiple projects perhaps, so maybe John can clarify to the best that he can.
Through you, Mr. Chairman. A number of the projects on here are part of the consent decree. It's probably easier for me to go through some of the ones that aren't consent decree. Street sweeping is not a consent decree, but it is also something that we're required as part of our stormwater permit, MS4 permit, so that's something we still need to do. Emergency sanitary storm repairs, those are emergency repairs before we resurface a road and everything, so those are kind of needed. Southeast Interceptor Sewer Phase 3 is not part of the consent decree. It's about extending the sanitary sewer down East River on the southern side of the city over so that we can work over toward on that southeast corner of 57 and Chestnut Ridge. We do have, as part of the $2 million in that line item, is actually only $1 million of it. Well, $1 million of it will be roughly part of a federal earmark that we receive, where the other $1 billion would come from the city, and the intent is to try to get it down around the bend so that it's able to go across the street pretty easily. So There is some grant money involved in that one. Lateral loan program is part of the it's essentially part of the consent decree. Pole barn is not part of the consent decree. That is to put some of the equipment we have under shelter, as well as to build a small salt shed over on that side of town for wastewater. So, let's see.
Will that pole barn be needed? How do I want to say this? Is that something that we could look at because of the construction of the CMG?
It is not included in the CMG
Okay.
currently, and I do believe they prefer to have some of this on site, because that's where the employees who actually drive it work out of, so it's just for functionality. Windward siphon is not a consent decree item, but I will tell you that the sewer over there is in very, very, very poor shape, and it is something that we just can't get away from. So, unfortunately. The Lowell Street Sanitary Sewer Extension is not part of consent decree, but that is something that I believe in the past it was in agreement with the Church of the Open Door to try to get the sewer out there. So that's something that we're, as well as expansion of commercial or residential. So, I mean, there is a positive as far as, and just so you know, in regards to that sewer, the plan is for us to recoup our costs on that. Once it's built and we finalize the numbers, we'll actually come back to council to develop a capital recovery fee for that sewer, so that anybody who ties into it, so if a residential subdivision goes in where you have 300 houses, let's say they all pay $2,000, $3,000, it goes toward paying off or recouping our costs that we paid. So that will be something that we're looking to do. So yeah, those are,
That would be a Mr. Pileski and Farrell issue on how they're going to account for that. That
essentially,
repayment.
yeah. In the interim.
Excuse me one second.
Through you, Mr. Chair, and whether this is, again, finance or engineering question, what is the burden on the general fund versus our enterprise funds for these?
This is all enterprise.
all
It's
enterprise.
So the first, you see up there is
Yeah.
all wastewater.
Okay,
All wastewater.
okay.
Yeah,
And
none of this is general fund.
so, and, I mean, obviously, if we're able to trim, we're able to trim, but at this point, I don't want to say that, throw caution to the wind, but the enterprise funds are able to cover these at this point in time.
Correct.
Thank you.
Through you, Mr. Chair, there will be loans involved and possibly general obligation bonds, but hopefully most of them will be OWDA loans, some grant money.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
John, I got one question. On the second page, the water projects,
Yes.
so the 1 million for the transmission main rehab, is that just the inspection and the design and what have you, or?
We were still waiting on the transmission main report when we turned our budgets in, so we didn't actually have a number. That was more of a placeholder. We did know of one section that was pretty critical out there that we need to replace, but since then, we've received the next report, which is favorable, so it looks good as far as the transmission mains go. So that was for construction of a particular area, so it was included as part of this project.
Mrs. Sawerka?
Thank you, through the chair. I guess I have two questions. One is a little bit easier than the other. The first one is on the water towers. Those, do they need to be painted again? They just were painted within the last 5 years, maybe?
So not all the water towers have been painted in the last 5 years. The only ones that were painted in the last 5 years were Clark Street and 16th Street's probably over 5 years. So we do need the other three painted. The southeast, southwest were the original paint, which was, I believe,
So it-
installed around 2003, 2004.
Is that part of the water tower improvement? on the-
That's one of them. That's just one of them. That is the southwest tower, which is off of Murray Ridge Road right now.
And my other question is, so you have a staff of about 13? Is a staff of 13 going to be able to do these projects? I mean, this is a lot on a plate here.
Well, a lot of our, as you know, a lot of our projects we do, we'll work with consultants as far as design and inspection as well. We handle as much as we can in-house. I mean, this doesn't even include all the subdivisions that we oversee and things of that nature and other things that we go through. So we've been very busy, I will say that.
And I think that the Windward siphon has been on the books for probably at least 10 years to be fixed, give or take.
Yeah, it's very bad.
Yeah. Thank you.
Mr. Pileski, anything else from you?
I think that covers it.
Okay. Then we are tasked as a committee to really dig into this, along with the administration, take our outstanding finance director's recommendations and come up with a solution so that we maintain long-term integrity. We have to think not just next year, but years ahead, so. Any additional questions while they're at the podium? Okay, if not, I will move on to item number 6, the matter of amendments to the 2025 temporary appropriations.
I do not believe we have any this evening.
Okay, that's what I wanted to make sure of. Just wanted to double, okay? All right. If there is nothing else to come before this committee, I would accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion's been made and properly seconded.
Question?
Question's been called. All in favor, use the voting sign aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.